Welcome to the Good Reading Magazine podcast, sponsored by Pantera Press. Good Reading is a monthly magazine dedicated to books and reading and aims to help readers discover their next favourite book. You can find out more about the books discussed on today's podcast at goodreadingmagazine.com.au.
Hello and welcome back to the Good Reading Podcast. I'm Erin Christie. Today we're chatting with first-time author Rose Carlyle, whose book The Girl in the Mirror comes out this week. A thriller novel, it is very highly anticipated both here and in the United States, where it will be released in October. Rose spoke to us about the process of writing her first novel and also what it's like to write about twins and intense sibling rivalry. Based in New Zealand, Rose will get to have a book launch, but also chatted to us about the difficulty of releasing a book in a pandemic. I hope you enjoy this chat. Rose Carlyle, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So congratulations on your first book, The Girl in the Mirror. How was the journey towards publication, especially given a book that's actually quite highly anticipated?
It's been a wild ride. It's been really fun and exciting. I think I didn't really have any expectations about publication. I always just wanted the book to be published because I don't think you can really imagine having more than one reader. When you're writing, you just picture a reader, singular. So anything that happened on top of that was a bonus, really. So having it being published in other countries as well is the icing on the cake. But you know, the main thing I always wanted was just the idea that one reader out there somewhere is reading the book. So that's been great.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'll have quite a few more than that, which is really exciting. So was writing a novel always a goal of yours?
Well, I think it has been, really, because when I was 6, I somehow persuaded my godfather to buy me a typewriter.
Oh, nice.
So obviously I had the plan. And sometimes I wonder why I sort of lost touch with that idea. But I think I see some writers in their 20s who are amazingly mature and well developed in their craft. But when I was in my 20s, I felt like I didn't know what I wanted to say and that I couldn't really write a novel until I had really figured life out a little bit more. And the funny thing is, now that I have written one, that I've realized that you can't write a novel because you have answers. You can only really write one because you have questions. So perhaps you don't really need to have any wisdom to write a novel. You just need to have some crazy ideas.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the novel does have some really crazy ideas, but they work very well.
Crazy as that. I have to confess that I've looked at my Goodreads reviews, which I know that proper authors don't look at their reviews, but I saw one that used the word crazy about 3 times, and I thought,
oh, really?
There's a glowing review, but it just kept saying crazy, and I thought, yes, there's a craziness in there.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was a bit crazy, but I think definitely in a good way. You're releasing the book in the next couple of weeks. How have you been preparing for that, given the pandemic and everything that's going on at the moment?
Well, I mean, 2020 has been a very strange year for me because it's like on a personal level, it's a great year, but on the level of the world as a whole, it's a terrible year. And it's really hard to have those two things in your head at the same time. So you go from feeling really excited and happy to feeling really sad for the world. But I think, obviously, the issue with COVID is a life and death issue, and so I never really felt like, oh, it's a bummer that my book, I thought the book might not even come out, I thought the whole world might end and there might never be another book published again.
Oh, no.
But when you sort of have those thoughts, those deep dark thoughts in the middle of the night, you can't feel that upset about it, because if the world's going to be that bad, then your book is really the least of your worries. So I didn't really feel disheartened or saddened about the book. I just have felt obviously quite disheartened and saddened for the world as a whole.
Of course. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Definitely. I think a lot of like so many publishing houses were pushing back the release dates of their books and things like that. So it's good to see that things are slowly kind of coming back on track and there's more books coming out. Yeah, it's kind of, obviously we're not at the end of it, but it is a more exciting time now because more things are starting to happen again. So yeah, it's definitely exciting. And also you've got a US release happening as well. So is that going ahead?
Yeah, so my publication dates were not altered at all by COVID. I thought that they would be, and I had a friend whose book was coming out just ahead of mine, and she got pushed back a couple of months.
Oh.
And my publishers will tell you I've been obsessed with, where are the books? Are they printed? They're going to be in the bookshops. Because I was kind of scared of having you know, the big launch date and all the publicity and no actual books.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems that people have turned to reading during lockdowns, and so book sales have been quite strong. Aside from the fact that there's been a lot less commuting happening and a lot fewer plane flights happening, which are two places where people listen to audiobooks or buy, you know, airport thrillers. But all the same, on the whole, it seems book sales are pretty strong this year.
Yeah, definitely, which is a strange silver lining given the what's going on in the world. Although you're based in New Zealand, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. So things are pretty normal here now. I mean,
That's
I'm
good.
actually able to have a book launch, which is unusual for 2020.
Yeah.
Like not an online one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm very lucky to be here and be able to lead a pretty normal life at the moment.
Good. That's exciting. The book launch that'll be fun. So your book it comes out in the US. It's a bit after it comes out in New Zealand and Australia. Is that right?
Yes, it comes out in October in the US.
Great. So can you tell us a bit about how that came to be, the decision to release in the US?
Yeah, well, I was a little bit behind on everything because I had sort of misunderstood the whole process of pre-publication, and my book had been through a developmental edit, but it hadn't been copy edited yet. So I just kind of assumed that, they won't give the manuscript to anyone until we've done that. And so even though my publisher had made noises about the Frankfurt Book Fair and showing it to American agents and so on, I had thought that was a long way down the track. And then suddenly I got a very exciting email, and they and I got news that I had an agent already in America. So, and she was like my dream agent. So I had to go off and Google her and about her. And then they started getting bids, and I actually had to choose. Who to go with. I mean, I felt like I had absolutely no idea, but I spoke to the editor that I ended up going with. I had a really long talk with her, and I just felt like, yeah, she really got the book. And luckily, my agent and my publisher felt the same way about her. So we went with William Morrow, which is a really long established imprint of HarperCollins, and they have been it's been really great having the Americans on board, because they just bring in a different perspective and a different energy. And because they came along so early before it was published, we were able to actually take in their thoughts on the book as well. So they were involved in the editorial process, which was
nice.
Really, I just felt like I had such an amazing team of people helping with the book.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like in the States, it's because their publishing industry is bigger, just in terms of, like, I guess they're a bigger country. I think, there'd be, a really kind of exciting vibe around publishing in the US.
Yeah, it's a really thriving industry. And I mean, HarperCollins is a big machine. And I mean that in a good way, like they've got their systems in place. Everything is streamlined and professional, and that you're getting top-notch treatment with everything. So that's just really exciting and fun. And I can almost imagine what it would be like to actually be an American author going through that process. But it's also fun to be doing the Australian and New Zealand version of publication at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. No, it sounds also like it all sounds very exciting. So heading over to the novel now. So I think so many things about it really stood out to me because it's such a great book.
Thank you.
I was kind of reading it gradually, and then one afternoon I just kind of hit a point where I just couldn't put it down. I sat there for about 4 hours just like powering through it. I was like, I cannot stop. It's so gripping. It's really good. I think what stood out to me the most was the relationship between Summer and Iris. So obviously twin relationships are really fascinating alone, and then Summer and Iris, they're mirror twins, which is even rarer. So I wanted to ask what it was like writing about these two women and how you learned about mirror twins as well.
I just kind of stumbled across mirror twins online, having obviously decided they were going to be identical twins. And at first I thought, this is going to make the book a bit harder to write because it's going to make them less identical.
Yeah.
Mirror twins, obviously are mirrors, so they're not exactly the same. And that put a lot of pressure on my main character. But I thought, well, I've got to do it because I already had the title at that point.
Yeah.
So the girl in the mirror, we're going to have mirror twins. So I just thought, well, I'll see if this works. I'll give it a whirl. And it didn't look back. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like writing about? Because I remember I read your acknowledgements and you said you and your own sister are very close. So I was wondering what it was like to write about kind of sibling rivalry.
Yeah, I was uniquely unqualified. I might as well have been a child where that was concerned. Yeah, and I mean, my sister and I came up with the idea together. In fact, we had a moment that's a little bit like what the book is about, where we realized we had one idea and there's two of us who want to write it. But in marked contrast to the way that Iris would have behaved with Summer, my sister just said, you write it and I'll help you. And so she's been, I would phone her before I wrote a chapter if I was struggling with it, and then she would be the first person to read it after I wrote it, and she's probably read the book 10 times.
Oh wow.
All up, easily. So I feel like she's almost more professional than me. Like she won't let me get away with anything. If I say, oh, I think this is fine now, she'll say, no, it's not. You need to go back and edit it again and sharpen it up. So it is ironic that we're writing this story about jealous sisters when we just don't really understand that feeling, don't understand sibling rivalry.
No, definitely. It's definitely like the jealousy and the rivalry between Summer and Iris is so like it's just so like pertinent and believable. So obviously it doesn't come across that you don't have any experience with a jealous sibling. So I wanted to ask about, because both of the twins are very flawed and quite unlikable in the sense that I think at the start I thought Iris was quite terrible, then by the end I'd kind of changed my mind, and like it was kind of like a switch between how I thought about the two of them. And I was wondering if you had a favorite of the two twins.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think everyone ends up with Iris as their favorite, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Funnily enough, when I gave it to members of my family to read, most of them liked her from the start.
Okay.
It wasn't really what I expected, but there is that interesting effect in when you read a book that you side with whoever is telling you the story, regardless of what they're getting up to. So and I knew that I had to take full advantage of that because Iris is certainly no angel. I'm trying not to give out too many spoilers here. But It's interesting because I never thought I would want to write a character like her. I think if I met her in real life and I knew what she was like, I wouldn't want to be her friend. But she had to be my character. That was who she was. I couldn't make her be a better person. And I also didn't feel like she was a terrible person either. And I think that as you read the book, you see some of the things that have happened to her in the past and during her childhood that maybe make it a little bit more forgivable that she has such an interesting relationship with the truth.
Yeah, definitely. And just the whole her childhood and all the siblings and all the rivalry, it just was just so wild. So yeah, I think definitely you can justify sort of her behavior in certain aspects. I was wondering also, so I was going over the book this morning and there was this moment I found really interesting when, without giving away too many spoilers, Iris is kind of reflecting on what summer would be like in a certain situation, as it's when she first arrives in the Seychelles. Is it Seychelles? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so and she's saying Summer would have been making everyone her new best friend, whereas Iris just wanted to be away from everyone. And there was such a stark kind of introvert, extrovert sort of idea there, which I just found super interesting. So I was wondering, like, you know, were you writing from kind of, are you quite introverted, or like, is there a twin that you identify with more in terms of their not crazy aspects?
Yeah, I think that's quite an insightful comment actually, because I am an introvert. So, you know, it's easy to misunderstand what an introvert is because they're not necessarily shy. I'm not shy, I'm quite confident. But I can imagine if I was suddenly being expected to rush around a new country and meet a whole lot of new family members who all wanted to be my best friend, that I would feel like I wanted to, you know, go back to my own quiet space every now and then. So I guess moments like that do draw on me a bit. But I also think that it's because you're seeing it from Iris's point of view. So perhaps, I mean, maybe everybody feels the way Iris feels on the inside. You know, it's we talk a lot about imposter syndrome, which is kind of an ironic name for, you know, like there's and then there's real imposter syndrome. But it's so easy to look at other people and think, oh, that person is confident, she's having a ball, she has no self-doubt. Whereas we only get to experience our own inner life, so we don't really know. I think that's a really big part of the book, really.
Yeah, definitely. That was sort of going to lead into my next question about, I think, Iris's relationship with Summer is really informed by her jealousy, but kind of, without giving away too much, by the end, we kind of come to realize that Summer might not be who Iris thinks she is. So, or like as great as Iris thinks she is. So I was wondering, is there anything in particular, like any kind of message relating to that you kind of wanted to get across?
Well, I certainly didn't write the book like a morality tale, like come away and you should believe in yourself and not be jealous of other people. But I mean, it's inescapable that message is in there, isn't it? Because, you know, another character comes into the story quite late in the piece who's just chosen not to join the race, so to speak, and not to be jealous and not to be a rival. And I think it's pretty clear that that's the right decision.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess you could say if there was a moral to the story, maybe that's it. But I didn't want to write a story with a moral because I don't think I have all the answers, you know. I would sort of joke that the moral is don't impersonate your identical twin.
It's a good moral.
Yeah. So novel needs to be read by twins everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to ask about kind of the writing of, so like your writing process. How long did it take you to write the novel?
Oh, it was pretty quick actually. I started it in summer and I finished it in Midwinter's Day. So it was like 6 months to write the first draft.
Oh, nice.
But it's taken a lot longer than that to edit, which I think is actually the thing that people don't realize about writing until they start writing, which I didn't realize, because fresh writing the first draft is so much fun and so intense.
Yeah.
And then you have to do the hard bit, actually fixing it up and turning it into a publishable book. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to ask you about, so I would call the novel, like, it's very twisty, like there's a lot of twists going on, without giving away too much. And I was wondering if you could speak to what it's like to write a twist in a way that works, because I feel like all of yours worked really well. So was there kind of a trick to it, or
yeah, so they always say that the best twist is unforeseeable and then it's obvious in retrospect. And actually the secret technique that you have to use in order to achieve that is to plant some hints about the twist. You know, I mean, a truly unguessable twist would just be, oh, and then a hurricane came and and the character got whipped up and, you know, zoomed away. But that would not be satisfying, because unless the reader feels like they should have seen it coming, it just feels like a random event. And we don't read fiction for random events. We read fiction to find meaning.
And I was wondering if, because there are so many twists and turns in the novel, did you begin the novel knowing how it would end, or did you kind of make changes along the way?
I absolutely knew how it would end. In fact, my sister and I came up with the whole story in one lunchtime.
Oh, wow.
So the only thing, it was just a bit sketchy in the middle. So we knew the beginning, we knew the main plot twists, we knew the end. What we didn't really know was who these characters were. So Iris had to be the perfect person for this story to happen to. So that took a while to figure out. And there were things in the middle that we weren't sure about. My sister was not sure about the whole yacht journey. She's not into yachts and sailing in the ocean. But I felt like it was something I really knew about and could write about because I've done it in real life. So I said, well, I'm going to have to persuade you that this is the right setting for this story. And yeah, she was convinced by the end. So it was things like that in the middle. You know, is this going to take place on a yacht? Who are the characters going to be? Some of the characters got invented sort of mid-sentence. So,
nice. Yep.
So there is a mix between plotting it out and seeing where your pen takes you.
Yeah, definitely. And also, speaking of the yacht and the sailing, I think some of my favorite parts of the novel were set on the yacht. So obviously you've got experience sailing, but how was it writing about those kinds of experiences?
I really loved writing about being on the yacht because I got to invent my ideal yacht without having to be a boat architect. And I got to describe not all of the magical moments about crossing an ocean, but some of them, things like jumping off a yacht in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight, knowing that there's a kilometre of ocean underneath you. And I always thought, I've got to get that into a book. Yeah. And then writing it really puts you back there, you know, because you really have to remember, and the harder you try to remember it, the more that you can, you know, feel the sun on your skin and smell the ocean, even though you're actually sitting writing in the middle of winter, huddled up in front of a fire.
Yeah, definitely. And your experiences sailing, did you use any of those in the writing?
Yes, I did. Yeah. The one thing I felt bad about with the sailing is that it probably puts people off the idea of doing any blue water sailing. Because obviously the truth about sailing is a lot of the time it's quite boring, you know, it's uneventful, and you just sit there looking out for other ships and you don't even see any other ships, you know. You go for a week and you might see one, and the rest of the time you're just being careful, and you could probably go to sleep and survive, but I wouldn't take the risk. So you're picking up those scary moments and making them scarier for the purpose of fiction. Yeah, I have done things like, I mean, I've been up the top of a mast, and you know, it's not fun up there.
No, I can't imagine it would be.
So yeah, you do pick some of the worst moments to put in a book.
Yeah, I guess Yeah, it's interesting because it's definitely a really spooky part of the book, and especially just like the idea of the isolation. Um, yeah, it was definitely quite scary. So yeah, it's interesting that it's something that you enjoy so much, but kind of extrapolated those scary experiences to put in the book.
I don't know whether I would enjoy being on a yacht on my own in the middle of the ocean, though. I've always
Yeah,
been with other people most of the
yeah,
time, family,
yeah,
and
definitely.
that's very different because I think, I don't know if you've read many post-apocalyptic novels,
Mm.
but they're always actually about the coziness, aren't they? They're actually about like surviving the apocalypse and then setting up a nice cozy community where
Yeah,
we go back to the land and we grow crops, and that's what people dream about. And it's a bit like that adventuring across an ocean. You actually really start to savor those cozy moments where you have a good meal even though you're in the middle of an ocean storm, or you get to an anchorage and put the anchor down and I don't know, cozy up with a book to read.
yeah.
So I don't know, I don't think I would enjoy being completely on my own out there.
No, that's definitely understandable. It made me want to sail, actually. Just some of the scenes where like you were talking about like the warmth and like you said, like the sun on your skin and like the blue water. I was like, this actually sounds really nice. And then without giving away too many spoilers, it obviously takes a turn for the worse. But yeah, some parts did sound very nice, so that was good.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, because I was trying to capture that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. And best of luck with the book.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you too.